Hello everyone, this is Yana Smakula. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing a Christmas card idea created with some new products from Simon Says Stamp. Simon just came out with several new products, all part of their Peace on Earth release, and I couldn't wait to dig into the new goodies and create. I have more cards and more videos coming in the next several days featuring my favorite new products from this release. And for today's video, I thought I would focus on two stamp sets that I really liked from the Peace on Earth release. First one is Build a Plaid Cling Stamp Set. What this basically is, it is a set of various with stripes starting from 1.5 inches going down 1/4 inch increments. So you have 1.25 inches, 1 inch, 3¼ inches wide, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and so on. And these are just a little over 7.5 inches long. The idea is to use these stripes to build a custom plaid or tartan background. To me, however, I feel this is a fantastic set for creating striped backgrounds. You have the various with stripes in here, and since these are red rubber stamps, they are very easy to clean, allowing you to switch colors of ink without much effort. I do have a similar stamp set of clear stamps in my stash, and that one is a little bit tricky to use because when you stamp in dye ink using a clear stamp, you need to really clean your stamp with a stamp cleaner before you switch to another color of ink, or you need to use the type of ink that doesn't stain your stamps. And I don't really have that many inks like that. Most of my inks are dye inks and they do stain clear stamps. With red rubber stamps, I don't have this problem. I can just wipe the stamp with a cloth and quickly move on to stamping in a completely opposite color of ink. So all of these stripes are separate, allowing you to stamp any sort of striped or plaid background you want. The other stamp set that really caught my eye in this new release is the Winter Birds stamp set. It is a large 6x8 stamp. It is a clear stamp set, and I love everything about it. First, these sentiments. I love the style and the font and also the curvature of these sentiments. If you pick up the coordinating dies, they will cut the sentiments out, so that's an added bonus. Next, you have the snow-covered branches, and they are amazing. There are two kinds of branches here, and like I said, you have the snow already illustrated on top of them, on top of the branches and on top of the leaves. And then you have 4 different winter birds. I'm yet to stamp and color the birds, but I love the variety this stamp set has to offer. It is a great set and has it all. Everything you need to make a card is there. You have sentiments to choose from, and then you have pretty images for the focal point. I stamped the branches in Memento Tuxedo Black ink onto Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock, and I'm just going to do some simple coloring using Copic markers. I went with vibrant green colors and colored the leaves using YG17, YG03 and YG01 markers. Nothing special was done here in terms of coloring. I just applied the darkest, next added my medium, and blended it all out using the lightest ink color. The berries were colored using R27, R24, and R22 markers, and I tried to color the berries so that I left a little bit of white in the center working as a highlight. I just circled the berry with a marker from the outer edge in, leaving the center white. Now, I didn't color that top part of the berry. I don't even know what that's called. Let me know in the comments below if you do know the name of that part, but I didn't color it. Looking at it now, I probably should have colored it light brown, but I felt like leaving it white at the time. Next, I colored branches using E79, that was my darkest brown, E37, medium brown, and E33, lightest brown. I love that this image already includes snow. Somehow that snow makes it look very cozy. Now, I didn't color the snow at all. I left it blank white, but you could add some sparkle to it, maybe by coating it with a shimmer pen or adding some glitter over top. I did not want to use a shimmer pen as I was worried the Memento ink might run from the water in the shimmer pen. I do add water to my shimmer pens once I run out of the original liquid in the pen, and I've had an image outline run from the water in the past, so now I'm trying to be cautious. So that's why I left the snow white. I used coordinating die and cut the branches out. I can't say this enough, how much I love this design. I also colored and cut out a few holly leaves and additional berry cluster. Let's go back to the Build a Plaid background. I love the widest stripe in this set, and I wanted to use it to create a wide stripe background for my card, a diagonal stripe background. I have a panel of Neenah Solar White 80-pound cardstock here. I have my Misty stamping tool and Distress Oxide ink in Candied Apple. I really love this color for bright, vibrant red. And I'm going to stamp the background one stripe at a time. Now, because this stripe is so wide, I don't actually need to stamp it too many times. I think I stamped it only 4 times to make this background. So I placed the background panel at an angle inside my Misty so that I could place the stripe stamp straight inside my Misty. I stamped the image a few times over the same spot. That little corner didn't want to get stamped at all. So I finally just used my finger and I dabbed that in the ink into the corner, and that worked like a charm. I wiped the stamp and the lid of my Misty with a cloth. That's all of the cleaning that I had to do. I didn't use any stamp cleaner, just a dry cloth. And next, I repositioned the stamp on the background, leaving a small white gap. And the gap is pretty consistent if you look at the background. Now, when it comes to the gap, the surface of the stamp isn't as large as the stamp itself, meaning there's a little gap between the edge of the stamp and the stampable surface. I used that as a spacer to create that wide gap on my background. I positioned the stripe stamp so that just a little bit of white was showing. Here, as I tilt the Misty, you can see some of that white from the side. And I stamped the next stripe next to the first one, building my background. And here's a look at the finished piece. Somehow, I really like these super white stripes, and I think they look especially fabulous stamped in red. The Build a Plaid background is really versatile and one that can be used all year round. I am really thinking that this would look gorgeous stamped in pink for a Valentine's Day card. Next, I stamped the sentiments for my card. First, I stamped them directly onto my striped background. I wanted to see how that would look. It didn't look good, so I re-stamped the same sentiments onto a white cardstock panel. That worked much better for this card design, and you can see the edge of the letter C didn't line up with the stamped edge on the background. But that was fine, as I was planning to add the holly and berry cluster there anyway, and that would cover it up. I did foam mount the sentiment panel onto my background to add dimension to this design, and I also foam mounted all of the other elements on this card as well. I added the branches so that they overlap parts of the sentiment stamping, especially the sub-sentiment, that top one. I wanted it somewhat hidden in the branch. I didn't want all of that, the entire sentiment, to be legible. I wanted parts of it hidden. I trimmed the excess stamping and tucked several sparkling clear sequins under the branches. Now, I've been using these sparkling clear sequins for such a long time, for many, many years, and I do love them, but I feel like I'm ready for something new, some new type of embellishment. So I have a question for you. Is there something you like to embellish your cards with? What's your favorite embellishment to use? Let me know in the comments below. So here's a look at the finished card. You can see how beautifully that stamping looks, and the branches covered in snow are simply amazing for winter. If you make a card inspired by this video, I'd love it if you shared your project online and tagged me on social media. I always love seeing what you guys are making. Thanks so much for joining me today. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.